I bet you never thought this day would come, but it came. I am here. I have finished this book, and I am so excited because it was so fucking good. Apologies in advance for excessive cursing. I have a lot of strong feelings. You know, you forget when you've been out of the Throne of Glass world for so long how much you love the Throne of Glass world, how much you love these characters. If you don't know, this is book 6 in Throne of Glass. This started out as a novella about what was going on with Kale while Empire of Storms was happening, and then Sarah started writing it and it turned into a 700-page novel. You really get a sense for who he is in this book, plus all these amazing new characters that are so amazing, like Irene. I love her so much. I listened to the audiobook for the first half of Tower of Dawn, and then I listened to not the audiobook, I read with my eyes for the last half, and whoa, the spelling for all the names in this book was blowing my mind. Caution is spelled with a K, and it's like K-A-U-S-H-I-N. I'm picturing the word caution as a name, like C-A-U-T-I-O-N, throughout the entire first half of the book. Sartu, it's spelled like Sartak. There's so many like that I was like, whoa. Irene was a huge one. Irene with a Y. Y-R-E-N-E. But the good news is, because I listened to the audiobook, I know how everything's pronounced. Can you believe it? If I say someone's name in this, there's a 98% chance that I'm saying it right. And if you don't know, I have a history of very poor pronunciations when it comes to literally any series with fantastical names. Especially Sarah's. I highly recommend that before you read Tower of Dawn, you should have read this already, read The Assassin's Blade. I am one to talk. I took forever to read The Assassin's Blade. I read it after Empire of Storm, so I was slow to the party. But you have to read Assassin's Blade now. It's no more procrastinating. Read it or get the audiobook. If you don't know, I'm an Audible affiliate. So if you use that link in the description below, you can get your first audiobook for free. It was really good. The audiobook for Tower of Dawn was so good, man. Even when I was reading it for a while with my eyes, I turned on the audiobook because I love how she does the voices. It's one woman, but damn, she do a good job. Damn. We've got Kale as a lead character. We've got Irene as a lead character. We've got Nesrin as a lead character. It's so good. I love all the stuff. I love the Coggin and his royal family and getting to know all those siblings. And if you haven't started the book, you have no idea what I'm talking about. We start with Kale in Antica, the southern continent. He's there, firstly, to get an army to fight with Aelin in this upcoming war, but also, you know what? If you've read up to Queen of Shadows, you can stay. If not, anything more I say might spoil you, so continue at your own risk. He's there to get reinforcements for their army, but he's also there to be healed, because Kale's spine was very badly injured with Valk magic, and he's currently paralyzed from the waist down, and Antica is known for the Torre. The Torre is this tower where all the healers live, the best healers in the world. This is where they live, this is where they train, this is where they at. Irene, she's at the Torre now, she's been there for 2 years, and she is the best healer there, so she is assigned to Kale's case, and is just so good. I can't say anything else without spoiling. I feel I've talked a lot without spoilers. So I'm gonna give Tower of Dawn an A+. I am so happy. Tower of Dawn is happening simultaneously with what's going on in Empire of Storms. So when people read Empire of Storms and Kale had just fallen off the earth, because we have a whole book's worth of what the F was going on with him. You wanna read this. If you haven't yet, you need to read this before you go into the last Throne of Glass book, okay? This isn't just like a side plot that we can erase. This is main plot shit happening. That's all I'm gonna say in this non-spoilery section of this. Read it, read it, read it, read it, read it. Come back. Let's discuss. I took like 10 million pages of notes. Sign on spoilery, folks. Goodbye. Leave. Bye. Have you left? Don't stay here because you don't want to read Tower of Dawn with your own eyes. If you don't want to read it with your own eyes, use my Audible link and get it the audiobook. Don't ruin it for yourself, okay? Come back afterward. You need to see it with your own eye. You need to hear it with your own brain because it's so much more fun that way. If you haven't read the book, goodbye. Okay. Oh my god, where do I start? I'm gonna try to go in order, but I'm a loose cannon, so who knows what'll happen. Let's start with the Coggin, though. In Antica, there is no king, there's just the Coggin. And the Coggin is worshipped with almost a godlike respect. And it's the greatest city in the world, or country in the world, whatever it is. The area is the most successfully ruled area in the world right now. But the actual Coggin royal family is full of dysfunction because of the way the Coggin system works. The Coggin himself himself and his wife have to have a shitload of offspring so that there is an heir. And the Coggin at all times has to have who he wants his heir to be like written down and stored away in a box somewhere just in case he dies. But leading up to his formal announcement of who his heir is, there is no heir. Like, it doesn't have to be the firstborn child. BT Dubs, the firstborn child of this family, is an ass. I hated it. What is his name? Like Agen or something? Oh, he made me so mad all the time. Just he's just there to be a pain in my ass. So the deal is, when someone is chosen as heir, any sibling could challenge them, and if they challenge them, then said sibling will fight the heir apparent to the death for the heirship to be king. And even if they don't question him, the other siblings are not allowed to have children because it might threaten the heir and his children. There's so much rivalry because they all want to be the heir and they all might have to slaughter each other that they can't comfortably trust each other as family growing up. And it's terrible. It's just so sad. Kale and Irene and Nesrin think about this a lot while they're there. I forget which one thought about this the most, but when will there be a sibling who loves his siblings enough to say no to this tradition, to end it, so that there will be no killing of the other siblings? And they sterilize the other siblings' significant others, or the other siblings if they're female, so that they can't have children when the heir is chosen, so that the heir is the only one who can reproduce. It's messed up, man. But I think this family is gonna call it quits. I have faith in them. I have faith in their ability to change this. By the end of the book, the Coggin has named his heir as Sartuk. He did it because Sartuk went up to him and he's like, hey, fuck this. I love Nesrin, and if being the heir means that I can't be with her, I don't want to be the heir. Walks out, and the Coggin's like, you know what? You're my heir. You passed the test! The king current, I believe his name is Oberos, he killed his brother to get this heirship. He's king because he murdered his brother for the position. He seems like a cool guy, other than that. Let's talk about Irene. I love her. I love her. I liked her in The Assassin's Blade when I met her, but I love her now. She's the heir of Soba, who is the goddess of healing, and who I, the entire time, pictured spelled S-O-B-A, but apparently it's S-I-L-B-A. And Hafiza, the head healer of the Torre, asked her if she would want to be the new head healer when Hafiza kind of moves on or retires or dies, which is a huge honor. In Antica, healers are looked at with as much respect as the royalty. But Irene wants to go help out in the war because they need healers and that's her land. And when she was younger, her mom was burned alive because the King of Ardalan banned magic and her mother was a healer. We learn, and I don't remember learning this at the end of Queen of Shadows, but it's been a while since I read it. We learned that the King of Ardalan, Dorian's father, he was possessed. It was the inner king inside him that gave the order to execute all the healers because he knew that the Vald princes wanted them. So that was his weird, sick, twisted way of preventing the Vald from getting what they wanted. So Caution is yet another prince of Antica. He has a thing for Irene. He respects what Irene is saying, but he's also holding out hope in his heart that Irene will want to be more than just friends. His sister, Hussar, my god! Hussar got on my last nerve. She has her moments, but she also has very spoiled, obnoxious, gossip, mean girl moments that make me just want to. But in the end, she cares about Irene. But does she really? Like, the way that she talked to Irene when Irene was saying she doesn't want to be pushed into a marriage with Caution, what would happen if he challenged you for the throne? She was like, well, I might spare him. I might let you get sterilized and live. Like, she says this to her friend in just a self-possessed royal way where she doesn't really realize how cruel and flippant she's being about Irene's life. Like, what if Irene wants to have children? And it seems like she does. She does care, but it's buried under all these layers of spoiled child. And Hussar's wife, Renya, seems really cool and understanding and chill. So you think to yourself, like, Hussar can't be that bad if her wife is so cool. Then she says things, and I'm just like, oh, and she instigates. She tries to turn Irene against Kale, and she plays these mind games, and I hate it. We have that whole scene at the opium party where Irene is being threatened by Hussar to get information about where Aline is from Kale. I love that Irene's super honest and is like, hey, I need a name of a place because I'm being threatened. Kale's thinking, well, she's definitely not gonna be at Pirate's Cove. So he tells her, Pirate's Cove. Damn it, Kale! The scene at Irene's birthday dinner, and they're out out at the oasis, Hasar decides to bring up the fact that Irene and Caution would be a good couple again after she knows Irene's not interested. Like, she's supposed to be Irene's friend. And she says, well, maybe if you married Caution, I would give you the ships for the war in the north to save your people. Maybe I'd do that. And it's just, why must you be like this? And she already could see that something's going on with Irene and Kale. And I was so glad when Irene got up off the table, and it was only because she was pretty drunk. She pushed Hasar into the pool. And then she's like, oh my God, I just gave myself a death sentence. Could you imagine if pushing your friend in the pool could set her off to the extent of beheading you and your significant other? Could you? Could you? Thank God Renya was there to start laughing so that Hasar wouldn't take herself so seriously. That party, like the fact that Argan, or what, the oldest sibling, was invited to that party pissed me off. Oh my, can we talk about Duva? Let's talk about Duva, the pregnant youngest sibling, because right off from the beginning, I was so suspicious of Duva. She reeks of Val, okay? We just keep saying how she's so quiet and her husband just stays right by her side and she just leaves early and she doesn't come to the birthday party. When she didn't come to the birthday party, I wrote it down in big letters. It was like, Duva is a fucking Val. Why is no one questioning this? Why does no one suspect her? Why does no one think it's weird? And we learned that Caution felt like she wasn't herself. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't anyone say something? And when she was pregnant, oh God, it made me so scared that she was pregnant with some sort of Val baby, because we had that whole thing going on in Air of Fire or Queen of Shadows where they were trying to impregnate the witches. I forget what was going on there. Thank God it's just a regular baby. When they got home and everything was torn up, I was like, it's fucking Duva. She's in the palace. It has to be someone who's in the palace, who has access to all this stuff. They've got guards everywhere. I can't with you. I can't. I think the scariest scene in the book for me, there was a lot of scary scenes with Irene. They were written so well that I was just like, especially in the audiobook when she's like, okay, 10 paces, 5 paces, 4 paces till I get to the light. When she's in the library all alone during the thunderstorm. It's just like classic horror film. She's looking through like ancient texts all by herself and she starts hearing things. So I'm like, get up and leave. But she's like, oh, it's just a noise. Might be just a cat. And then Irene gets up and she's being followed and it is scary AF. And then she finds like the gross husk of a person, and it's the girl, the healer that looks like her that she just talked to that was crying in the tubs. This scene also had me hearkening back to a scene in A Court of Wings and Ruin in the library, because in that library there's like some sort of killer beast. And what is with libraries and making them homes for these horrifying monsters? Does Cyrus secretly fear libraries? This fact in itself also made me question, like, is this the past? Is this the very far past? Like the ancient world for the ACOTAR series. So Irene gets access to these ancient scrolls. She's reading about the Valg history. We learn that there are 3 Valg kings. And she goes back, she talks to Kale about this, and she's like, do you know where the other 2 kings are? And Kale's like, I think they were defeated in the war back in the war before this. So you don't know for sure they were defeated? Well, I think. Wow. Okay, well, I think we should get that sorted out. There's some emphasis put on the statement that knowing which king it is behind all this will make a big difference in the long run. Now, we've always thought of it as Erewhon. Erewhon is the king, the big bad, the ruler of Morath. But since this sentence exists, I don't think it's going to be Erewhon, and it's gonna change everything. When we learn the history of the Valg world from the spiders, which, holy shit, the Karen Kui, the spiders, who are ancient and have been around for years, are Val. They're the handmaidens of the Valg queen. They're not waiting for any king. They're guarding the gate. Nezrin was in the actual gate where Maeve came through into this world because she was restless with her husband, Orcus, the eldest and the most powerful of the Valg kings. There were these 3 kings, and they ruled over this world with darkness, and they were all gross and made everything dark and barren. And then this queen emerged, right? And they all were like, oh man, that queen is hot. I want her. I want her. I want her. And she was like, I only want the most powerful and eldest and coolest of y'all, Orcus. So her and Orcus get married, and then she decides, I don't like it here. I want to be my own queen and rule over the world, my own domain, by myself. So she has these powers to like look through other dimensions or something. It's kind of unclear. She has the ability to find different pockets between different worlds and different realms. So one day when Orcus is out with his brothers, she just passes through this realm and comes to this world, and she's like, I like it here. I think I'm gonna make myself queen of everything. And then the brothers, they're like, where'd she go? Where'd she go? Orcus is like, I'm gonna find that bitch. She can't leave me. She my wife. And then they create these 3 keys to open up word gates and control the different gates between realms. Maeve just like can hop between realms when she sees she wants to. So these 3 kings hop around between different realms and different worlds until they find the world that Maeve is in. Maeve is the Valk Queen, which just my mind went, oh my fucking god. All of a sudden all this stuff started in my brain, was like, oh shit. Air of fire. Everything's different. I can't. Rowan was working for the Valk Queen for so long. What Maeve did, she found Faye and she was like, okay, this species is cool. I could be one of them. And she found these 2 royal twins. She messed with their brains to make them believe that they were actually triplets and she was the oldest. And so she should be the queen of everything. And then she did that with everyone who knew about these twins. And slowly and surely, she created an empire. And she took the form of a fae. And when these 3 brothers came, they didn't recognize her. Because she was in this fae form, they don't know her like that. They know her like a spooky moat dust demon parasite. I don't know what they think she looks like. When Irene sees it inside of Duva, she sees like this shriveled up, gross, hairless, gray demon thing with spiky teeth. Ew. My mind was just like, ugh. We end Empire of Storms with Maeve, and it's confusing. We're like, why is Maeve fighting her? Like, I don't really get it. But now I'm like, oh fuck. Maeve wants her as the ultimate weapon against the Vault. She doesn't want to be found by these 3 kings. It's just like they're playing a game of cat of mouse, and then while they're doing it, these Valks are destroying the worlds around them. Like, why are they really, what's the point of conquering this world really, except to take it away from Maeve? That's what it feels like to me. It's a war between the Valk, and they have to get everyone else involved. You couldn't just settle this dispute yourself in court. You guys want a divorce? Just get it, okay? It sounds like you have an abusive relationship, but don't bring it here. Don't bring it to Earth or wherever the fuck this supposedly takes place. No one wants to be a pawn in your domestic dispute. But this is where we're at now. So Aelin is trapped, and they think she's not trapped because Lysandra was pretending to be her. They think that she was successfully, just won that battle, but she didn't. So really, they're fighting 2 groups of people who are fighting each other. I feel like I have to read all the books again from 3 on and reassess what's up with Maeve. Her plan was to capture Aelin the whole time. So after the kings got to this world, the Throne of Glass world, and Maeve was there, and she saw them there, and they couldn't find her because they couldn't recognize her as a fae. She went out and stole the word keys, and she banished 2 of them. The spiders specifically worded so we don't know who she banished. One of them was Orcus, her husband, and the other one was unnamed. Okay, it could be Erewhon. So whoever is there could be pretending to be Erewhon, but is actually the 3rd brother. So before Maeve can banish the 3rd and final king, Brannon, the Fire King, Aline's ancestor, steals the keys from her. And so she can't banish the last one. Maeve could have ended this for us a long time ago. Maybe that's why she's mad. She's like, bitch, your ancestors stole the key from me. I could have got these fuckwads out of here thousands of years ago. Gwendolyn has been such a mystery to me for so long. Like, when we were reading Air of Fire, I was like, who is this bitch ruling this land? I am confused. Aethriel had this ring that prevented you from being possessed by the Valk. And that's what Aelin had in the 3rd book when she went to trade with Maeve. At that time, she believed it to be Maeve's husband's ring or something, but really it was a ring that Soba gave to Aethriel to protect faes with healing abilities. Did Aethriel, this fae with healing abilities, who was given this ring by Soba, did he go off to Antica, where that oasis is, where those ruins are? Did he make that fae development over there and plant those seeds to protect healing abilities so that people over there would have healing powers and they'd be a secret defense against the Valg when they rose again? Like, did Aethriel realize that Maeve was the Valg Queen and take these secret steps to be able to eventually defeat her when the time came or something? Another thing that I literally didn't pick up on until Kale said it, Sorsha was a healer from Fenharrow? I don't know, I was too busy disliking her in Air of Fire to really pay attention to like who she was. Rings. Let's talk about the Rooks. I just recently watched all the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm just sitting in awe of how many references Sarah has in her books to the Lord of the Rings and how much she drew inspiration from the Lord of the Rings. I know she loves them, so it makes sense. Just like Morath and Mordor. So I'm watching Return of the King, and we've got these eagles swooping in. The Rooks are just so reminiscent of these eagles. I love the idea of the Rooks and the Rook Riders and the Rook community in the mountains. It's so cool. I love Sartuk's whole story, how he's found family with the Rooks and with this Rook community because he couldn't trust his own family. Like, he can't trust his siblings to the extent where you should be able to trust your family, and because of that, he had to seek family elsewhere, and he has this whole separate life, and he has this amazing bond with his animal, Kadara. So we come into this not knowing much about Nezrin and Kale's relationship. We know Kale's been hurt. He was very wounded after what happened with Selena, and she ran away, and she fell into a relationship with Rowan just as easily as she was walking into the next room. When we see Nezrin and Queen of Shadows, we really don't know the deal with them. We know that they're hooking up. And we learn right at the beginning of Tower of Dawn that they really don't communicate well. They don't talk about their feelings. They both don't like to discuss things like that. And as soon as I learned that, I was like, oh, I don't think it's gonna end well for them because communication in a relationship is key. As soon as Irene and Kale start interacting, I was shipping them so hard. The chemistry was so beautiful. I loved when they argued. I loved when she just wouldn't put up with his shit. The scene where he learns that Nezrin left with Sartuk without telling him, without saying goodbye, I knew he was gonna react poorly to that. She was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'll just leave him a note. I'll be back in 3 weeks. Kudos for her for doing that because she realizes what's going on and that she's not his number one. And if she deserves better than that. But Kale is an asshole, and he always takes it out on Irene, and it pisses me off. And she's really understanding in the moment because patients have good days and bad days, and it's understandable that he's having a bad day. But he cancels their session because of it. And when she storms back to the castle to tell him off, I was so excited. I was like, this is it. This is it. Sexy times are gonna go down. There is so much tension. Then in the palace, she's being followed. And it turned into this scariest scene. I was on the edge of my seat. She was like running to get to his door, and she heard the person running after him, and in her head, her mom was screaming at her to like, run faster, go. I love this scene where Kale first mounts the horse. He's like, if I can ride a horse, you can ride a horse, Irene. And he gets a horse out for her. And she's on a horse and she's not good at it. And it's like the first thing he's seen that she's not great at and super confident about. And they have amazing banter on the way there. And he's like, okay, Irene Towers, I'll tell you all my deepest, darkest secrets if you tell me yours. I love that she had him there to teach defense classes. I love that she's teaching defense classes. I love how closely she holds the interaction she had with Selena to her heart. It really changed her life, and she has that note from Selena just all the time in her pocket. And it just goes to show you never know how big of an impact something that you do for another person is going to have on their life. That was such a cool little thread running through this book. And then we get to the Torre, and everything just goes downhill so quickly because Irene doesn't really think about how using him as an example for her students will make him feel. I was so mortified with him while we were watching that scene go down. And then, of course, he explains it later. And I'm glad he does. Again, he's little by little, she's getting him to open up and discuss this stuff, and she doesn't realize it. And then she learns, and they move forward from there. And I just love their relationship. I just love everything. That fight, when they have that fight, and she's yelling at him to stand up out of the chair. And he's just spewing all this terrible shit about her. And she's spewing terrible shit right back. And it burned! But at the same time, I was like, this is such a fight. This is such a sexual tension fight. The kissing is gonna happen. Not only does romance happen, but Kale stands up out of the chair. You know, the scene when she comes out and Kale can wiggle his toes, that brought me to tears. This brought me to tears. It was such an emotional book, and you really feel the journey of her healing him. I love that about this. You so intricately are on this ride with her, and it's not like she could just heal him. He's in pain, she's in pain, trying to heal his pain. There's rhyme and reason to the process. Sarah really thought it through. I just love how he and Irene arc together. They help each other realize different things about themselves and become better people, and by the end scene with Kale, when he puts himself in between the Valg and Irene, and he gets hit in the back again. All the physical progress he's made is kind of turned upside down in that moment, but Kale's reaction and the way he deals with things is so different from the way he was dealing with his situation in the beginning of the book, and it really showcases how far he's come. Things got real interesting when he was about to die. Like, I didn't realize he was that near death. Soba says that he's too far gone, so if you're going to heal him at this point, there's going to be a cost. And she just says, yep, do it. I'll pay the cost. Let's do it. Irene, when someone tells you that if this happens, there'll be a price, please, could you just ask what the price is gonna be before you say yes? It's not that hard. Just ask. Just say, you're gonna just ask the question really quickly, just so you'll be prepared. What if the price was that he's just gonna die again in 6 months? What if the price was that everyone else in the room is gonna die? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know anything. You just said yes. I paused the reading because I had to write a whole rant in my notebook about how you don't say yes to things before you know the consequences. Rookie protagonist mistake. We learned the consequences and they're not as bad as I thought they were gonna be. Like, I thought they were gonna be like Irene shaved 20 years off of her life or some Stygian spider sort of consequence. But their lives are now linked together. His life is linked to hers. So if one of them dies, they both die, and his spinal health depends on how exhausted Irene's well of magic is. But they're both alive and they're in love, and at the end they're married. And my heart, when Kale doesn't put 2 and 2 together, when he hears the story about Selena helping her and giving her the courage to get over here, Kale, what's wrong with you? Use your brain. I love when he first sees Irene's class and he's like, Aelin would love this. And I love when he's at the table with all the siblings and Hussar is being a complete and total asshole. They're talking about Aelin, and she suggests that maybe if Aelin married one of her brothers, she would assist her in war. And Kel's like, that's not gonna happen. Why? Is she with Prince Dorian? No. It was just so much fun to hear people talk about Aelin because they don't know. They'll know nothing. And though I was frustrated that Kale didn't realize it sooner, that payoff at the end of the book where Irene actually lets Kale read the message and he sees that it's Selena's handwriting and Kale just starts crying, was so worth it. I would go as far as to say it's one of my favorite moments of the book. I didn't even talk about Nesrin and Sartuk. I was shipping them so hard. Nestuk forever. At first, after spending so much time with Kilreen, when we switched story modes to Sartuk and Nesrin, I was kind of bored. I was like, wait, no, I want to see what's going on with Kilreen. But then they start going in search of Karen Kui. And they have that horrifying scene where they're going down into this old Fae fort. There's all these booby traps. They get down to the basement, and written on the floor in Fae is look up. Oh my god. And they're like, I wonder if we can translate it. And there's this voice. You don't need to translate it. It means look up. The dread that filled me with that sentence in the audiobook, it was so fucking scary. I was like, we are not getting out of this alive. I seriously thought that one of them was gonna die a lot of times during the roller coaster that was their adventure. They get out of here because Falcon, who is from the Assassin's Blade, this guy, turns out he's a shapeshifter. As soon as we find out that Falk is a shapeshifter, I'm like, is he related to Lysandra? And then in a moment of desperation where he thinks he's gonna die, he's like, wait, I have but one request. There's a girl my brother impregnated when I was 7, a poor woman in Rifthold, and he abandoned them, and I've been searching for my last member of my family all my life. Find her, tell her I love her, give her my fortune. And I'm just sitting here like, really? That was the one moment of the book that I was taken out. Okay, we get it. It's Lysandra. Sit down. This scene where the 3 of them head to this spider fortress in search of the baby rooks that have been stolen was so nerve-wracking because the second you see that bird, the little baby bird squawking down there, you know it's a fucking trap. I was just yelling it's a trap. What are you doing? They just immediately start going down there. I'm like, this is such a trap. It's the trappiest trap I've ever seen of traps. Could you not? You're gonna get so trapped. It is ridiculous. And then they do. They fly right into it. And the root gets caught in the spider web. And the 2 of them are off running, trying to get through all these crevices. And Sartuk gets stuck. Oh my god. This was such an emotional moment. I actually cried when he just gave up. He says, I think from the first moment I heard the stories about you, I fell in love with you. I only wish we had more time. For a second, I was like, wow, I can't believe we're losing Sartuk. I can't believe this is happening. What does this mean for Nesrin? Nesrin is going to be with the next Coggin? It's so weird. I love when Sartu comes to meet her dad at the end. I love how her family finds out about her and the prince before she has said anything to them. They're like, what, you don't think we hear the rumors about you flying over the city with him? We have to talk about the womb. The Soba hot springs in the basement of the Torre. How cool was the description of this place? How cool is this place in general? So the healers go down to these hot springs to reconnect with Soba. And it's a quiet, safe place for them. When Irene calls it a safe place, I'm like, is it though? Is it really? The first time you ever go, everyone brings a bell with their initials and hangs it. So there's constantly all these bell sounds echoing all around. And when she's down there, I mean, it feels like she's actually communicating with Soba. Like, Soba talks to her in the beginning, like, go where you're most afraid to go. She's getting direct advice. Then we have our big end sequence with the Duva, and they finally realize that she's the evil Valg. Irene gets to really test her theory on a real person possessed with the Valg, and she heals them, and this is huge. I hope she immediately teaches everyone else in the Torre, like right now, just in case anything happens to her. Sarah has planted so much now. The world is so big, and there's so much in play. I can't wait to get back to our other characters and see what Manon and Dorian are up to. I'm so excited to rescue Selena. I mean, maybe she'll rescue herself, but we end with a chapter from Selena's point of view, which I loved. And for her to see Maeve and us to know that Maeve is a Valg now, it was just like, dun dun dun. As far as theories, I feel like we're gonna definitely at least lose one important person. Who it will be? Oh yeah, wait, there's that thing with Selena and Dorian. Let's get into this. The shit we know about the word keys and the locks and the gates, okay? You learned in the last book that the Eye of Elena, that amulet, is actually a lock. And the gods have come into this world through the gates as well. So all these gods we're talking about all the time, like Soba and Mala and other ones. There's like 36 that they talk about just in Antica. All those gods came through one of these gates as well. And back in the day, Brandon the Firebringer guy, during the first Valg War, he steals the word keys from Maeve. Because he's like, I'm gonna get rid of Valgs once and for all. Not even knowing that Maeve is a fucking Valg. She doesn't want him to have them because he wants to do this one-shot vacuum up failsafe where all the Valgs are sucked away with this lock. So his wife is Mala in mortal form. Mala falls in love with Brannon, and I guess that's why Brannon is blessed with the fire powers, because Mala gave them to him. And she goes into human form, mortal form, for him. They have a kid. That kid is Elena. Mala sees all this Valg shit going on, and she's a goddess, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna make this lock, this fail-safe lock. Someone with my gift, if they collect all 3 word keys, can open the gate and seal it with this lock, so no one can ever come back. And if you die and sacrifice yourself to use this gate and seal this off, all of us gods will go through the gate and will take all the Valg with us. The gods want to go back to their home realm. They've been stuck here on the Throne of Glass planet when they really come from other planets. This is where things get vague here. Who are these god people? Is Armin one of these god people? How did they get here in the first place? I'm assuming they came through random openings. Like Maeve said that she came through. But why are they stuck here? Like, why couldn't they get out if they're gods, you know? They want to leave and they make a deal with Brannon. Okay, here's the lock. Mala died for you to have this lock. You die to use the lock so we can leave and we'll vacuum out all the Valg and then the gate will seal forever. Things get vague with the lock too, because Mala died to make the lock and then Brandon was gonna use it, die to seal everything, but Elena, their daughter, took it thinking she was saving the world and sealed Erewhon under a mountain in a casket. But he got out. That wasn't what the lock was for. She didn't confer with her dad and be like, what was your plan to use this? She finds out that she thinks she can use it to save the world and lock him in there. So she fucked up. Now, another person with Mala's blood has to come along. It doesn't really specify, does someone have to sacrifice themselves to activate it, and then another person has to sacrifice themselves to seal it. That's what it sounds like. Now, we're learning all these other bits and pieces of the story, all the Valg parts, and I forgot about all the god parts. If we did use this lock and seal everyone out this way, we have the question of, will everyone with Valg blood be sucked out? Because the witches are technically part Valg, because witches are the offspring of Fae and Valg. The next question is, what happens when they suck out all the gods? Because all these people in this world are blessed with these abilities because of these gods. Like, what about Soba? She gets sucked away away, what happens to all the magic? Does that get sucked away? Does the world become just a normal mundane world? Fae have their own magic, but some of them are blessed with the gods' magics. It just feels like this failsafe, the lock, isn't the way to go. People have to die that we love, the witches might get sucked out, the gods are all gonna leave, but the gods wanna leave. So it's very confusing. Are the gods the yin-yang of the Valg? When the Valg came here, did it suck some gods in here too, because the gods are helpful and the Valg are really, really dark? Are the gods a source of light and the Valg a source of dark, and there has to be this balance? Is that why the gods are in this world? So if they don't have the Valg somewhere here, can the gods not exist here? And another huge question is, how many gates are there? We see this gate that Maeve came out of. Was it a natural gate? And then after she came through, she was like, girls, carve my image. Because that's what it seems like. If it's in the middle of the mountains randomly here, that this was a natural gate. And then she was like, let's make it look like me. Are the other gates like that? Or if you have the word keys, can you create gates? Is that what the word keys are for? I feel like that's their thing. They could create a gate anywhere, probably? Or can they just control the opening of the gates anywhere? I don't know. Is it just in their nature for Valg to be horrible, evil, terrible people? Is that a thing? That's just what they feed off of evilness? I don't know. I would be interested to see what their backstory is, because we don't really have any empathy for the Valg. They're just this big, bad, terrible entity that wants to destroy all things. But I would like to kind of get to know what made them this way. You know, what's their history? Were they abandoned by their mother who didn't love them, and an evil baby orphanage, and grow up talking to snakes? It's just like, what happened to them? I want to know more about Maeve and her history and like what her marriage was like. What's up? What's the difference between these three kings? Maybe they switched and maybe Maeve didn't recognize him in whatever body he took. Maybe Erewhon is actually Orcus, and he said he was Erewhon, so Maeve wouldn't think he was as much of a threat, but it's been Orcus all along, and it's gonna be a confrontation with this husband and wife in the end. The spider said it wasn't, so if it isn't, then it's this third brother that is most likely the middle brother, and what is his deal? If they all had a thing for Maeve, is there some tension there? Did Maeve ever have, I don't know, affairs with the other two brothers? I want to be able to slightly empathize and understand the mindset of these three kings and Maeve, because they're big mysteries right now. So I just got on the live show a couple hours ago, and Kat and I were just talking. She was like, what about Dorian's brother? What if he is a loophole and he has Mala's gift and he could be sacrificed to forge the lock? And I'm like, well, I don't know if they can force someone to sacrifice themselves. I don't know if Dorian would be comfortable like sacrificing his own brother. Hulin, whatever his name is, hasn't showed up in ages, but we know that they sent him away because he was a terror. And then I'm thinking like, wait, what if there's a Valg inside of Hulin? And that's why he was sent away. Either he was sent away, probably by the king, because he knew maybe that Hulin had magic and he wanted to get him away from the Valg as soon as possible, or there's a Valg inside him and he went away for safekeeping to be a plot twist further down the road, which is crazy. Like I was talking about this domestic dispute, like I feel like there's a high chance we have to see Maeve's Valg husband that she's running away from. There has to be a confrontation there. So I was thinking there's a high chance that Erewhon isn't actually Erewhon, or the Valg could have come through another portal without the word keys. Just like Maeve came through the stupid word gate without the keys. She came, who knows how many other word gates there are like that. He could have possibly just come right back after she exiled him because she didn't seal the gate. There's been no sealing, so there's no telling who can come back in and out. So there might be two kings there, and Hulin might be one of them. And like Kat said, he might have abilities, so he might be a fire-breathing Hulin Valg creature husband to Maeve. Yep. Hey, it's me again, future Christine, a couple days later, editing this book talk. And all of a sudden, this image hit me. From Crown of Midnight. When Selena used a book to use word keys to open up a portal to the Death Realm to speak to Nehemia, and then she gets attacked and she smears one of the word marks with her blood, so it turns into a different mark, and the portal shifts into a world that's like misty and cloudy and foggy and rocky, and a monster comes through. And this monster, hold on, let me get the book that I just spent half an hour reading the end again. Okay. A monster comes out of it. A tall, sinewy thing. Definitely not human. With unnaturally long finger-tipped claws. White skin that looked like crumpled paper. A distended jaw that revealed fish-like teeth and milky eyes tinged with blue. And she fights this monster, and the monster has uncanny intelligence, and she can't beat it. And she goes through this portal to save Kale and Fleetfoot, and she creates this like fire earthquake thing to get away from him, and then she's drained, and Dorian has to close the portal because she's drained and she can't close it, and you need magic in your blood, and you need to use your blood with word keys. Selena knows how to open gates to other worlds. And that wasn't just any world. I'm pretty forking sure that was the Valg world. She opened a gate, a Valg just came through in its natural forking form and waltzed in, and they waltzed into their world, and she became a fae and waltzed back. Okay? I just went back into Tower of Dawn. This is the description we have for the Valg that was possessing, and this is the female Valg that was possessing Duva. Glimpses of gangly limbs, talons. They just talked about the clawed, hairless, slick skin, unnaturally large dark eyes. It hissed, revealing pointed fish-sharp teeth, okay? That is not coincidence. They both had fish-sharp teeth. They're both gangly. They both have gross skin and talons. And the only thing different is that this says unnaturally large dark eyes, and that said milky eyes with a bluish tinge. So eyes can be forking different depending on the person. This is crazy, okay? That happened in Crown of Midnight. Crown of Midnight. She just accidentally stumbled across a Valg. This means that Aline can open up word gates anywhere. She used a spell. It was a spell. All my talk of gates, she can open up a gate anywhere. 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 I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything I said or didn't say about Tower of Dawn. Let's discuss it. I'm Christine. I'm at XTINEMAY on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me there. I make videos every Tuesday and other days too. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye!